week.
Touchdown!
That's the game of the year.
Good! He hit it!
This is why we watch. This is NFL Total Access. What a way to turn the page. Welcome to NFL Total Access. I'm MJ Acosta-Ruiz. We have so much to get to tonight, but we have to rewind to last night's Monday Night Madness between the Ravens and the Browns. It was our Total Access game of the week, but let's be serious, y'all. It's been the game of the season so far. So let's get you to the fourth chapter of this craziness. Remember when Lamar Jackson left the game for a bit with cramping in the fourth? Well, here's what happens when you leave the Browns unsupervised. Lamar, Cleveland trailing by a score, 3rd and goal. Baker Mayfield keeps it and runs it in for the 5-yard touchdown. They pull ahead by 1. Browns fans freezing, but absolutely loving it. Next Ravens possession. Lamar's still out, so Trace McSorley is under center. Takes the snap and then takes a big hit, loses 4 yards. Even worse, though, he's hurting on the ground after this one. But suddenly, like Black Panther swooping in at the end of a movie in purple and black, here comes Lamar. 2 minutes left, and the Ravens are going for it on 4th down. Lamar to Marquise Brown. Can he do it? 44 yards for the touchdown. He nails it. What is happening? Out of control. But you know what? The Browns get the ball back, and now it's 1st and 10. So Bake, make it happen. Mayfield to Kareem Hunt. Look at him, making guys miss. I mean, gets the touchdown. They marched down the field like it was recess and tied the game at 42. Hunt finished with 110 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns on the night. Back to the Ravens, 1st and 10. Lamar to Mark Andrews, trying to get in good range for Justin Tucker. They got it. Justin Tucker warming up on the sidelines there. Listen, I could not actually deal with the pressures of being a kicker in a moment like this, but Lamar hits Andrews for a few more yards to help his boy out just a little bit. So here we go. Justin Tucker, 55-yard field goal for the win, and he nails it. The Ravens win it in thrilling fashion. Jackson with 124 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, the most rushing yards by a QB ever on Monday Night Football. Here's Lamar on his return to the game.
Trace was doing a great job dropping the ball down the field. Then I see my guy go down, and as I'm seeing him go down, like, I'm still stretching. Like, I'm like, I got to get back. I'm catching the attitude because I'm like, man, it ain't going the way we want to. And then I see him go down, and I'm like, we got to start now. Like, we just got to go out there now. And I start running out there. Kel running with me. It's 4th down. And offensive line blocked their tail off, and our guys just made great catches, and we came out with the victory.
He got me on the I'm catching an attitude. All right, time now for some Next Gen Stats powered by AWS. And according to Next Gen Stats, the Baltimore Ravens had a win probability of 92% after J.K. Dobbins scored a 1-yard rushing touchdown. That was in the 3rd quarter. Now, with Jackson out of the game, the Ravens' win probability plummeted to 43%. But once he returns with 2 minutes left, the probability shoots right back up. And that is the Lamar effect, 90% at that point. Let's bring in LaDainian Tomlinson, Michael Robinson, and D'Angelo Hall to break this one down. Guys, and Rob, I want to start with you here. Did that performance from Lamar Jackson sort of change that narrative we kept hearing about him not being able to win big games?
I don't know if it's going to change the narrative about him winning big games. Let's just be honest with you. And Lamar showed it last night. He's one of the most electrifying players in the National Football League, and he doesn't have to beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his legs. And I think when the teams that give Lamar Jackson the issues are the teams that can score fast, score quick, and score a lot of points and force the Baltimore Ravens to kind of get out of their game plan. That didn't happen last night because the Cleveland Browns throwing the football isn't their ammo. Running the football is how they move the football down the football field. So I just thought the matchup dictated that the Baltimore Ravens came away with a win. But I think as this Baltimore Ravens team goes forward and as it tries to go into the playoffs, and it will get in some of those big games, possibly against the Kansas City Chiefs and the class of the AFC, Lamar Jackson's going to have to throw the football from the pocket. He's going to have to beat teams from the pocket, throwing the football vertically down the football field and outside of the numbers. If not, teams are just going to sit in the middle of the field and force him to do something with the football. And I'm not sure he's going to run the football every single play.
Hey, M-Rob, you're right to a certain extent, but come on, man. You were one of those quarterbacks that used your legs as well as your arm to go out there and make plays. I played with a guy, Michael Vick, and I don't know if I have ever quite seen him pull that Mamba mentality, man. On that 4th and 5, I think what makes Lamar so special is that he can use his legs. Look, he makes the corner void his coverage because he's worried about Lamar. Because as a DB, I know, look, that D lineman can't catch him. The linebackers can't catch him. Me as a corner, I'm probably the only one who can run Lamar down. And so, yes, my eyes are going to be distracted on Lamar Jackson. And you see Hollywood Brown find the soft spot of that zone. And so, you know, I just think it's those one-off plays, right? Those off-schedule plays. Can Lamar be much more accurate? Absolutely. There were throws that he probably should have made. But at the end of the day, they came away with the win.
Yeah, so guys, here's the thing. The reality is that, yes, Lamar Jackson can win the big game, but how does he win the big game? That's the whole question to me. If he's able to run the football like he was able to do last night, they ran it for over 200 yards. They never got down in the game truly, you know, behind by 2 scores where they had to throw the football. So, yes, if they're in that type of game, absolutely he can win that type of game. That's how he became the MVP. And that's what we saw from him last night, is Lamar Jackson, the MVP, making plays for his team. But at the same time now, if we're playing Kansas City like early in the year and we get down by 2 touchdowns, can Lamar Jackson bring us back with his arm? I'm not so sure. He hasn't proved that yet. I would love to see him get the opportunity to do so. Hopefully he will coming down the stretch. But as of right now, I agree with M-Rob. He still has to prove at some point that he can win the game from the pocket.
Ooh, LT just, speaking of in the pocket, just sat there and said, okay, I'm going to let y'all finish. It's not about if, but how. But guys, you know what this conversation needs? A Ravens Super Bowl winning coach. And luckily, we happen to have one. Coach Brian Billick joining us now. Now, we saw Lamar come back in and control the game with his arm last night. Coach, what did you think of that game-changing play there at the end with Marquise Brown?
Yeah, unbelievable, right out of the Hollywood script. And you got to give Cleveland credit, one, for putting him in that position, responding the way they did. But they had the right defensive call. When you look at the tape, they brought a 6-man pressure. They were going to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket, which is what just what these guys are talking about. If you're going to beat us, make them do it from the pocket. But what do? They spy out here. They bring the extra 2 guys, but they lose contain. They let Lamar Jackson get outside the edge. At this point, you're dead. The corners now, they can't do anything right. It's only 4th and 4. They can't let Lamar just run for the first down and continue the drive, so they have to settle. That's just enough for Lamar. Great job keeping his vision downfield, getting the ball down to Marquise Brown. So again, I think that kudos to the Cleveland Browns for the way they responded emotionally. They had so many right calls that could have made a difference in the game. But again, Lamar Jackson, if you can keep him in the pocket, that doesn't mean he can't make the plays. But if he gets outside the pocket, it's game, set, and match.
And, Coach, I want to talk about the receiver for a second because Hollywood Brown had a few drops earlier in the game, looked frustrated, but it was really good to see him make those big plays that we know he's capable of. All right, Coach, thanks. We'll see you a little later in the show.
And that okay, very good.
Save it for later, Coach. I want to hear more. All right, thanks. Lamar Jackson breaking Twitter last night. He'll never see my tweet, I guess, for now, but check out these tweets from across the sports landscape. Patrick Peterson, this game is like a movie. I agree. Absolutely a classic. Des Bryant, Superman, showed up right on time. I had a different superhero in mind, but we get the gist. LeBron James, wow, what a game. Taking it all in. Lamar, absolutely incredible. The Ravens pushing through, but Cleveland was in it, you guys. LT, M-Rob, and D Hall, they played a hell of a game in Cleveland. They just could not stop the Ravens offense. LT, what did you like about the Browns offense and how they're really built for this playoff run, in your opinion?
Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about from the standpoint of that offense of the Cleveland Browns. I do believe that it is sustainable what Kevin Stefanski is building because it's built off, obviously, the run. You're going to see this right here is just a counter O, as we called it. The offensive line and the tight end is pulling around on the counter. And this is what they did so well all game long. They attacked the Baltimore Ravens up the middle with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Hunt. As you see right here, a nice game up the middle. Just a simple counter play that hits Baltimore up the middle. Now, this is an element of their offense that they didn't have early in the season. Remember, Kareem Hunt was suspended. So this is when they down 7. They need a touchdown. Split Kareem Hunt out. Look at all the space that he has. He catches the football and still has about 5 yards before Humphrey is able to come up and try to make the tackle. He misses, and at this point, you're not going to bring Kareem Hunt down before he gets into the end zone. So I just love what Kevin Stefanski is doing with those two backs. They generate the offense. Yes, Baker is doing a terrific job of not turning the ball over and being an added element to that offense. But make no mistake about it, Rob, this team runs through those two backs.
Absolutely. And Alex, I'm so glad you mentioned the backs. You know, I played fullback. You know that, right? So I was a part of the blocking unit, and I got to look at this offensive line, and they're led by their offensive line coach, Bill Callahan, and it seems like a great run game follows this man wherever he goes. Those plays that you were just outlining were just carved up by this offensive line, and then you look at guys that you just didn't hear of before. I mean, D. Hall can tell you about how Mike Garafolo talks about right guard J.C. Tretter all the time, and just how his cutoff blocks. That, you know, when the running back gets to a spot and put his foot in the ground and goes north, those backside cutoff blocks are what usually makes it spring, and it's all led by, again, Coach Bill Callahan.
Yeah, and Rob, I'm going to second that. Coach Callahan, I had the opportunity to play for Coach Callahan here in Washington. I mean, what a great coach. But I got to take this time to give Baker Mayfield some credit, because I was one of those guys who felt like, I don't know, maybe the stage. I know everyone thinks the stage is too big for Lamar, but Baker Mayfield hadn't really done much in this league. So to watch that dude come down and drive his team down the field when they needed him, hats off to Baker Mayfield, man, because he played his butt off. He went shot for shot with the MVP. And, you know, if he didn't come out of that locker room when he did, the Cleveland Browns win the football game. So kudos to Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, man. I think they got a bright future ahead of themselves.
Guys, this is one of those games where we kept saying, I could watch this every day. Well, you're in luck. Programming alert. You can catch the